I taught apologetics, which is the class you're in, for a really, really long time. And it seems to me that to start with apologetics, we first have to understand what truth is. So I want to give you two kinds of truth and define them and talk about them, and then we'll see how they apply to the question of apologetics. All right, the first truth that I would want you to know is something called objective truth. And the definition of objective truth is that the truth resides in the object, not in the thinking subject. The truth is in the object, not the thinking subject. All right, so you know when you have an English sentence, you have the subject, that's the person acting, and then you have the object, that's the thing being acted upon. So I see a pen, I is the subject, this is the object. In objective truth, I'll let you finish writing. In objective truth, the truth is out in the object. It's not in my brain. All right, this pen is blue, is an example of objective truth because the truth is in the object. It's not in my brain. And in fact, I have to do something, somehow or other, I have to go outside of myself to encounter that truth. And in this case, how am I going outside of myself, sweetheart? What's your name? Weatherby? But what's her name? Jacayla. How is it that I'm going outside of myself to find that truth? Specifically, what am I using? My eyes, right? So I'm looking at the pen, and I'm seeing that it's blue. So when it comes to objective truth, the subject has to go outside of himself or herself and find that truth. Now, what happens if what I think in my brain differs from the reality? In other words, I say, oh, his pen is purple. What do we call me? Colorblind, right? But what's a more simple word? Begins with a W, ends in wrong. I'm wrong. See, when my perception of reality differs from the reality, we just say he's wrong. If I do a math problem and I come up with the answer 2 times the square root of 3, and in fact the answer is 4, I'm wrong. Okay, I've been wrong before. Not the end of the world. When it's a matter of objective truth, when the truth is out there and I have to go discover it, I can be wrong about that truth. You follow? Pretty simple definition, right? That's objective truth. The definition is that the truth resides in the object. It means that I have to go out and find that truth. You should have that in your notes. I have to go out and find that truth, and I can be wrong. When what ends up in my brain is different from the reality, I'm wrong. Questions? Simple, right? Second kind of truth. Anybody want to guess? Yes, ma'am. Exactly. Subjective truth. Subjective truth. Write it down, please. And if you had to guess, and if you had to define subjective truth, how would you define it? Oh, come on. The truth resides in the subject, not in the object. Okay, so subjective truth, you just reverse it. In subjective truth, the truth is determined by the thinking subject, not the object. So, for example, Audrey Hepburn is the most beautiful woman ever to be in Hollywood. Okay? Is that true? Sorry? To me it is. Because where does that truth reside? Right in here. So yes, it's true. And he says the most beautiful woman in Hollywood ever is?
Megan Good.
Megan Good. Is that true? Yeah, to him it is. Well, which one is true? They both are. Because when it comes to subjective truth, you cannot be wrong. Because truth is determined by you. You follow? Now, let me tell you what it's like, but it ain't. It's like an opinion. Oh, it's your opinion. What's her name?
Megan Good.
Megan Good? Is that Father Dan's sister? No, I'm sorry. It's like an opinion, but here's the difference. You can have an opinion about something that is a matter of objective truth. Right? So, who won the 2003 BCS National Championship? Who do you think?
LSU.
LSU. Who do you think? Auburn. Now, those are two different opinions. One of them is right and one of them is wrong. My man with LSU is right. Right? Go Tigers. So you helped him? See, that's an opinion. That's not exactly what subjective truth is. Because in subjective truth, you cannot be wrong. The truth is determined by the thinking subject. Now, oftentimes there are objective criterion, like who's the greatest quarterback in the NFL of all time? Well, you're probably not going to say Steve DeBerg, right? I mean, it's probably going to come down to Johnny Unitas, Joe Montana, who else? Peyton Manning, John Elway. You know, you might, because you're going to have some facts that you're going to want to rely on, but at the end of the day, it's a matter of subjective truth. Each person has kind of a right to say, no, I think this one is the greatest, and they're right. Objective, subjective. Everybody clear on that? All right, now here is where it gets tricky. Are you ready? This is like the money question. Can you handle it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's your name?
Orlando.
Orlando?
Yes, sir.
Like Florida?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Orlando, questions about God. God exists. Jesus was divine. Muhammad is the prophet. Buddha is the path to enlightenment. All these religious kinds of questions about the nature of God, are they matters of objective truth or are they matters of subjective truth? Subjective. How many people agree with Orlando that questions about the existence of God are matters of subjective truth? You see your hands. Can you tell me your name? Because I used to keep the clock when you guys played basketball, and I loved watching you play. Kashara. All right, put them up high. Now, the rest of you, you think it's objective or are you just cowardly? How many people think it's objective truth? Why do you say, Orlando, that it's subjective truth?
People think that Muhammad was the prophet and Buddha was the enlightened.
All right, so Orlando says, wait a minute, I see a bunch of people think that Buddha was the enlightened one. A bunch of other people think Muhammad was the prophet. A bunch of other people think Jesus was divine, so it must be subjective. I mean, you don't have people giving you 3 different opinions about the color of the pen. So that's why Orlando got this one wrong. It makes sense though, right? At first blush, and look, half the class is right behind you. At first blush, half of you thought that it's subjective. You said it was objective. Why do you say it's objective? How do you know Jesus is God? I mean, that's subjective reality, isn't it? Then why did you put your hand up and say it was objective? Faith. Okay, but that doesn't answer the question as to the notion that there is a God. Is it objective truth where there are right and wrong answers, or is it subjective truth where everybody's opinion or everybody's truth is their own truth? No. Orlando, you might have another follower over here. Who thinks it's objective? Why do you think it's objective?
Same reason I believe in God and
Y'all are going to love this class. Because I'm all into faith. But I think we have to have a better answer than that. You know, we have to have a reason to believe. Because if you have this misnotion of faith that is just believing even though you can't know, you're going to end up in a cult. As Catholics, we believe that there needs to be reason behind our faith. The questions about God's existence, they are objective truth, and let me tell you why. This pen is blue. Objective truth, yes? If everybody in the room thought it was red, does it become red? No, because it's objective truth. What you think doesn't matter. What you think has no effect on the pen. Follow? So it's objective. God exists, let's say, or doesn't exist, or Jesus is God. What if every person in this room said, you know what? Jesus is not God. Does he stop being God? Does what you think about him actually change the truth? No. Then what is it? Objective. Let's say that all of us in this room who are Christian, let's say that we're all wrong. And Jesus was just a nice guy who got himself killed. Does the fact that every one of us believe he's God make him God? No. No. It's a matter of objective truth. There are right and there are wrong answers when it comes to these questions. And the whole point of this course that Mr. McDonald gets to teach you, I'm kind of jealous because I love teaching this stuff. The whole point of the course is trying to get to what's the right answer when it comes to these questions about Jesus. Because I want to know the right answer. It's not just, well, my truth is for me, your truth is for you. That's fine. I don't want to start a war about any of this stuff. But when I say Jesus is God, that statement is either true or that statement is false. There's no middle ground. And the truth of that statement doesn't depend on what's happening between here and here, or between here and here in my heart. Doesn't matter. Has no effect whatsoever on the divinity of Jesus. He's either God or he's not. And my job is to go outside of myself and find that truth. But I don't get to use my eyes alone. I have to use my intellect. I have to read. And I have to ask myself, do the guys who wrote this Bible, are they believable witnesses? I have to find other ways to come to that truth that is outside of me. Make sense? But religious truth is objective. The divinity of Jesus is objective. Look, it's not like Peter Pan, Neverland, or what's the second Peter Pan movie? Come on, Mr. McDonald, you got Return to Neverland. All right? And in the Return to Neverland, Jane's daughter doesn't believe in fairies. And because she doesn't believe in fairies, Tinkerbell's light is going out, and it's a tragedy. We don't have that power. Our lack of belief, if every human being on the planet said, I don't believe in God, would God, oh, I'm melting? No. No. It would have no effect on God. The truth is he's God or he ain't. Period. And what we think does not change that. And as a bit of an aside, this isn't today's lesson, morality is the same thing. Morality is objective truth. It's either okay for me to slap him upside the head or it's not. And what I think doesn't justify it. Is it okay for me to slap him upside the head right now for no reason? Oh, she's saying yes. Did you see that? No, I'm kidding. No. But what if I think it's okay? Does it make it okay? No. What I think doesn't really matter, does it? There's something outside of myself that I have to go discover. Morality, my young brothers and sisters, is objective truth. You don't get to just decide, well, if it's okay for you, it's okay, but it's not okay. No. There's right and wrong. Because look, if my opinion can change morality, then I can do anything I want. I can give everybody an F in this class just because I think it's right. But Mr. McDonald, I made A's on all my tests. Oh, I know. But I just really feel in my heart that the right thing to do is to give you an F so you can have another year at McGill. Does that make it okay because he believes it in his heart? No. There's something out here that he has to discover. Morality is objective truth. Now, let me ask you a question. Why did so many of us get it wrong? And look, I taught this for 12 years, and every class completely gets this wrong. Even after I define objective truth and subjective truth, everybody says religious truth is subjective. Why do you think that is? Why can you recognize that this is objective truth? But why do you think our first impulse is to think that all religious truth is subjective and everybody's truth is their own truth? Why do you think that is?
Because everyone doesn't believe in God.
Because everybody doesn't believe in God. You got lots of different beliefs. And because there are so many different answers, you go, well, gosh, how can it be objective truth and so many people are wrong? I think you're exactly right. And I tell you the other thing is, as Americans, we are raised to believe that every person has a right to freedom of religion. That you should be free to be a Baptist, and you should be free to be a Buddhist, and you should be free to be a Methodist, and you should be free to be an atheist, and you should be free to be a Catholic, and you a Lutheran. That we would absolutely cherish that freedom and your right to choose a different religion, right? And it's very easy for that to turn into, well, then nobody's wrong. I can't say anybody else is wrong. Let me tell you, every religion believes that the other religions are wrong. Otherwise, I'd be them. I mean, we've already established that it's kind of ludicrous to say, well, we're both right. I believe that's really Jesus in the Eucharist and you believe it's not, but we're both right. How is that possible? The fact is, if you're not Catholic, we disagree on that point. I think that's really Jesus in the Eucharist. You think it's not. Okay. I don't want to pass a law to force you to believe in that, but I'm going to say I think you're wrong. I love you, but I think you're wrong. Right? And the truth is, if you're Baptist or Lutheran or Methodist, you're going to look at me and say, I think it's just bread. I love you, but I think you're wrong. So I think that's one reason we all got it wrong. I want to give a little example about religious truth versus the pen. We can all look at this pen and say, look, I know that it's objective truth. I can see it's blue. I got to go discover the color, right? There's something in this box. You can't look now. I want you to tell me what's in that box. You got a guess? A ball? Okay. There are 4 objects.
Some play blocks.
Play blocks. Okay. Who's right? What do you think's in there?
Maybe some paper or something.
Maybe some paper or something. Well, that's actually right. It is paper or something.
Like rubber bands, maybe? Like in a ball?
Okay, a ball of rubber bands. Now let me ask you a question. Are the contents of this box, is that a matter of objective truth or subjective truth? Sorry? Objective. Because what we think doesn't change, right? But whose notion of that, whose opinion of what's in here is more valid? Who's right? It's kind of like religious truth. It's kind of hard to know about God. There are a lot of things about God we can't know unless He shows us. Come here, William. One, two, three, 4. See him? Got it? Okay. Now, tomorrow, you have a 100-point test. And the 100-point test will consist of 4 questions. What is object number 1? There's no order, by the way. What is object number 2? What is object number 3? What is object number 4? 100-point test. If you get them all right, you got 100 on your first test. Who, when the bell rings, are you going to talk to about the contents of the box? Why him?
Just he looked at it.
Because he looked at it. He looked at it. He was able, it was revealed, the right answer was revealed to him. Okay? Religious truth, like the fact that God's a Trinity, for example, that has to be revealed by God. Jesus is divine. That has to be revealed by God. But the fact that it's revealed doesn't mean it's anything other than objective truth. Do you follow? It's still objective truth. It's just something that we can't know without somebody showing it to us. Now, let me ask you another question. How many of you trust him to give you the right answer? How many of you trust him to give the right answer? Let me put it this way. What if I told you that Mr. McDonald was going to scale all of these tests? So it would actually be a big advantage for him to get 100 and for everybody else to get a 0. It would mean he basically doesn't have to do anything the rest of the semester. Like he's done with senior religion. How confident are you that he's going to give you the right answers? Scale of 1 to 10.
2.
2. Now, what if there's nothing to gain? I mean, it's just a test. Everybody, it just goes in your grade book like, I'm sure that's how you do it, Mr. McDonald, isn't it? You just put the grade in. Doesn't matter what anybody else makes. How confident are you that he's going to give you the right answer? Scale of 1 to 10. 6. What have you done to these people in this class? What would your confidence level be if he told you the 4 items? Would you put them on your test? Feel pretty confident about it? Yeah, probably. See, if the person that it's been revealed to is trustworthy and they repeat that revelation to you and tell you what it is, then you can trust that revelation, right? All right, it's objective truth. God is either a Trinity or he's not. Jesus is either divine or he's not. But those are truths that have to be revealed to us because we couldn't just figure it out on our own. But the fact that it's religious truth and it's revealed doesn't mean it's not truth. All right, do you remember the 4 items? All right, what are they?
It's like a Disney pencil.
Disney pen. But Mr. McDonald probably would have given you guys partial credit on that. It's not just a Disney pen, it's a Disney Christmas pen. All right, what else?
There was a paper clip.
There was a paper clip. I had to tape it down because it kept getting lost in the box and it would kind of ruin the lesson. So, all right, paper clip. What else?
I think it's called a baby pin.
Safety pin. That's what I've always called it. All right, what else? This is what you guys thought was a ball, by the way. You probably don't know what it is. It's a microphone, like when you are recording to stop the wind, right? So those are the things that were in the box. It's a matter of objective truth. Those items didn't change. They didn't become a little rubber band balls thing. Who said that? Is that you? They didn't become a bunch of rubber bands because you thought it. All right? Any questions about objective truth, subjective truth, or religious truth? Awesome. Well, thank you all very much for being a part of the video. God bless.
When was the last time you heard about a miracle? It was a miracle that I passed that test yesterday, or it was a miracle that I got to school on time, I slept right through my alarm, or it was a miracle I didn't get in an accident on my way here. Well, the church hears about miracles too, only the church tests these miracles, these claims, to see if they really are defying the laws of nature. There's 3 major categories of miracles that the church looks into. There's Eucharistic miracles, Marian apparitions, and miracles of healing. Eucharistic miracles have been happening for hundreds of years, and they've happened all across the world. And one miracle that I'd like to talk to you about today is a miracle that happened in Lanciano, Italy, 1,200 years ago. In Lanciano, there was a priest who was doubting that whenever he said the words of consecration over the bread and wine, he doubted that it truly became the body and blood of Christ. Well, one day while he was celebrating Mass, the bread and wine did not become the body and blood of Christ as we are used to seeing today, but the body and blood truly came to be physical, that the bread and wine turned into flesh and blood. Now, if you've never heard about this miracle before, I really recommend that you look it up. Just Google Miracle Lanciano, Italy, and it'll come up. It's really an amazing story. Also, there's Marian apparitions. Now, those are the times that Mary's appeared all over the world, and with messages usually for people. You've heard about these at Fatima or at Lourdes. What I'd like to talk to you about today mainly is about miracles of healing. About those times where it was an unexplained healing through someone's prayers or someone's intercessions. You hear about these types of things all the time, and the church really doesn't usually look into these types of claims unless those claims happen to do with someone who's in the process of being looked at for sainthood. John Paul II, they were looking to see whether he should be beatified. There was a group of nuns in a small town in France who started to pray to John Paul II for one of their sisters who was stricken with Parkinson's disease. She was young at the time, just in her early 40s, and she had already come to the point where she was bedridden for a long part of the day. Now, I don't know what you know about Parkinson's disease. Unfortunately, I know more than I'd like to know about Parkinson's disease because my own father, who's in his mid-80s, has been stricken with this disease for many years, and I've watched his decline. You lose control over the muscles in your body, and sometimes Parkinson's can progress very quickly, sometimes it's slowly. In my dad's case, it's slowly, but in this nun's case, she was progressing quite quickly. And so they began to pray to John Paul II that he pray for their sister, Sister Marie Simone Pierre. Now, they probably began praying to John Paul because he himself was stricken with Parkinson's for the last few years of his life. And so they understood that John Paul II would truly understand what their sister was going through. Now, there's nothing like hearing a story straight from the person. So I'd like you now to watch this video of Sister Marie Simone Pierre as she was talking about her cure in an interview. Now, this is in French, and so you're going to have to read the subtitles. But as you're reading the subtitles, look at her face and really watch her expressions as she's describing her cure. It's an amazing story.
Le 2 juin 2005, c'est le jour où j'ai été guérie, la nuit du 2 au 3. Ce qui est sûr, c'est que le 2 juin, au matin, j'étais complètement effondrée, épuisée et je n'en pouvais plus. C'est ce jour-là que je suis allée trouver Sœur Marie Thomas pour lui demander ma démission, du moins d'arrêter de tenir le service de maternité, puisque j'étais surveillante dans le service, avec beaucoup de membres du personnel à ma charge, un service de 44 lits de maternité, ce qui devenait très très lourd. Et je lui ai dit, mais non, j'en peux plus, il faut que j'arrête, sinon le service ne peut plus tourner, je ne peux plus le faire avancer, c'est pas possible. Et elle m'a dit, mais non, continue, tiens bon. Je devais aller à Lourdes au mois d'août, tu n'es pas encore allée à Lourdes. Et elle a ajouté, Jean-Paul II n'a pas dit son dernier mot. Et là, nous avons eu un long temps d'échange dans son bureau, dans une grande paix, je dirais. Vraiment une très grande paix et une très grande sérénité. J'étais très très paisible, elle aussi. Et c'est là où elle m'a demandé d'écrire le nom de Jean-Paul II sur un papier. Et je n'écrivais plus devant elle. Si je devais écrire, si j'avais des réunions, Souvent, on a une table lorsqu'on est en réunion. Alors, j'avais pris l'habitude de poser sur mes genoux le cahier ou mon bloc-notes pour ne pas qu'on puisse m'observer lorsque j'écrivais, parce que je tremblais. Et c'est vrai que pour moi, c'était pas facile. Et elle m'a entendu une fois, je lui ai dit, mais non, mais tu sais bien que je peux plus écrire. Elle m'avait même proposé d'écrire de la main droite. Et je lui ai dit, mais ma main droite, je commence aussi à trembler. Et elle m'a dit, mais si. Et elle a insisté. Et donc, j'ai obéi, j'ai pris le stylo et j'ai écrit. Et devant cette écriture illisible, excusez-moi, c'est beaucoup d'émotions. Et donc voilà, j'ai écrit Jean-Paul II, mais c'était vraiment illisible. Et puis, d'un bond, je me suis levée de ma chaise et je suis partie. Je lui ai dit, mais c'est peut-être que s'il y a un miracle, on puisse y croire. Et je suis partie, je me rappelle être sortie de son bureau, mais rayonnante pour le coup. Et je me suis levée vraiment d'un bond, et je suis partie. Et je continuais, je suis remontée dans le service. Et puis le soir, il y a eu le déroulement de la journée comme d'habitude, avec les vêpres, le repas communautaire. Ensuite, on a de nouveau un petit temps de service avec la prière du soir à la chapelle. Après la prière, je suis de nouveau remontée dans le bureau pour ranger quelques affaires parce que c'était toujours un peu le chantier chez moi. Et je suis rentrée dans ma chambre. Et là, j'ai eu envie d'écrire. Moi qui n'écrivais plus et qui n'aimais pas écrire, j'ai commencé par chercher un stylo. Et j'ai écrit un petit signet, une petite parole de Dieu. Et là, je me suis fait la réflexion en prenant le papier, en me disant, mais dis donc, cet après-midi, tu ne pouvais plus écrire, et là, qu'est-ce que tu écris bien? Et puis, je me suis couchée. Et contrairement à d'habitude, je me suis endormie, parce que les nuits étaient difficiles, la douleur m'empêchait, il y avait la tension au niveau des muscles, la raideur, et c'est vrai que j'avais beaucoup d'insomnie, et je dormais très très peu, et la douleur m'empêchait de dormir. Et puis, à 4h30, alors, en principe, on ne se lève pas à 4h30, le réveil est à 5h30, et j'avais beaucoup de mal à être à l'heure, puisqu'il me fallait beaucoup plus de temps pour m'habiller, pour me préparer. Et là, je me suis réveillée d'un bond à 4h30 du matin, et je me suis levée comme si de rien n'était, et tout de suite, en me levant, j'ai senti qu'il se passait quelque chose, que je n'étais plus la même. Qu'il y avait une joie intérieure, une grande paix, et puis une grande souplesse et liberté dans mes gestes et dans mon corps. D'ailleurs, je me suis préparée rapidement. Et en même temps, ce désir d'aller prier. Et je dis, c'est pas la coutume de se lever à 4h30 et sans autorisation et d'aller prier. Là, j'ai pris sur moi. Et j'avais vraiment ce désir d'aller prier devant le Saint-Sacrement. Et à la source, où j'étais à l'époque à Aix-en-Provence, nous avions un oratoire au sous-sol. Je suis donc descendue à l'oratoire. Et là, j'ai ouvert la porte du tabernacle pour vraiment être devant le Saint-Sacrement et j'ai prié. Mais toujours avec une joie très profonde. Et pareil, j'ai prié. J'étais descendue là avec j'avais un petit livret avec les mystères, avec le rosaire de Jean-Paul II. Et je suis descendue où j'ai prié les mystères lumineux aussi. Et puis à 6h, nous avons l'oraison, un temps d'oraison à la chapelle avant l'Eucharistie. Je suis donc allée retrouver mes sœurs à la chapelle. Et en voulant partir à la chapelle, je me suis aperçue, parce que j'avais mon bras gauche qui était comme mort et qui restait vraiment le long du corps lors de la marche. Il n'y avait plus ce balancement du bras. Je me suis rendu compte en partant que mon bras balançait. Il y a eu l'oraison, il y a eu l'Eucharistie, et à l'Eucharistie, j'avais la certitude que j'étais guérie.
Wasn't that interview amazing? I loved watching her face as she described her cure. Well, after she was cured, her sisters went to the authorities within the church and claimed that her cure happened through the intercession of John Paul II. The church investigated that cure and did find that there was really no natural explanation for her cure. There is no cure for Parkinson's. Sometimes people will not progress for a while, but they never are cured of the disease. And she truly was cured of the disease. The church has found some claims of miracles to be authentic throughout the years. However, the church never mandates that you have to believe in any cure or any miracle that they find to be authentic. The church's only position is to take it to say that there is not a natural explanation for the event. If a message occurred with that miracle, that message is not inconsistent with church teaching. Belief in miracles is totally up to the individual. You are free to believe or not to believe. However, I do encourage you to take the time to learn more about some of the miracles that have been authenticated by the church. You never know what you may find out.